Hi guys, it's Sky. I'm really happy to be here with you again today. And what I want to talk about today is pretty serious. And you might have already been informed or ignited if you're a light worker. And I just want to refresh your memory, actually. Refresh your memory instead of inform you. You might want to remember that I had been recently woken up, and you might recall for yourself as well, that when I was a child, I was actually taken from the alternate timeline, and I was taken by what was called alien nurses, and they took us on to this timeline. And there's a reason I've been coming forward and giving you all this information now for a couple years of what's happening on the planet. And there's a reason so many light workers are coming forward and giving you this information, because we've been either ignited or called, or we've had our memory restored. And there are thousands of us, and many of the children right now that are being born have the same knowledge and information. And the sun has sent out signals to us that has ignited our DNA, as I speak of, that has allowed us to have our own personal memory back. Now, when I was taken from this timeline, we were taken, light workers, many light workers are taken from the alternate timeline, and if you know, the Cabal work on the alternate timelines as well. And we were put onto this timeline to help assist Gaia in the reconnection of her galactic plan, which is in motion. And what is happening is we, like I said, we have had our memory returned of being off of the alternate timeline to this timeline. And the reason for this timeline is that the light workers could essentially get in here and do their work. Because here's the deal, just in a nutshell, this is not the good timeline, although it is because we tweaked it. There's enough, I've talked about this, there has been enough, especially since 2012, there's been enough movement, enough pull to tweak this timeline into the right direction. So what is going to happen now, it just doesn't happen, these things do not happen overnight. You know that we are infested with the archons and the reptoids, and my next video I'll probably do on the archons and the reptoids and how they got here. And it's not just their government we're working with. It's ridiculous to just point out one government and say that's the problem. This is a planetary problem, and many of our leaders are involved with it. So the people have to be informed, and the people have to unite, and the people have to be awoken, and they are. We are changing, the paradigm is shifting. We're shifting into the Aquarius age. And so on this timeline, it's difficult timeline. When you're a light worker on this timeline, you're going to be confronted with tumultuous situations, because you immediately have to get into your Kundalini activation. And every time that you are confronted with these situations that are very difficult to deal with, you are pushed into your higher self. So your higher self is really ultimately in charge. You are on a fast awakening process, the quick evolution. So you're confronted with enormous amount of stuff, but what happens is, we're in a world of relativity, so you're as low as you've gotten is grand and as high, and on the knowledge and the awakening that you're going to experience and have. So, and it isn't by accident. None of us got here by accident. There aren't any victims. So it's just time to unite and work together and become the one that we were meant to be, and reconnect with Source and our Creator, and really stop blaming alien races or other things that are gonna inhibit us humans, because in truth We are the masters of the aliens, and they know that. There are many of the, because this is why, because we got the best of so many groups, and we became this it's kind of like cliche to me to say this experiment, but you know, there is evolution, and even there's evolution in space, there's evolution through even our animals, you know, have evolved. We as humans didn't look like this when we first started, so things do change, you know, and we're going to continue to change on this timeline. Though what they're doing on this one is they're trying to give you the artificial intelligence, these reptoids that are on our planet, So ultimately, if enough humans wake up, we are in control. That was the point of that. But the reptoids that are on our planet are trying to, I talked about, they're trying to dummy us down, they're trying to get rid of us, they're trying to, you know, not really want us here. But the part of that blows my mind the most is, I just think the people, it's just the people, you know, I'm sorry, but these people that consistently are on welfare, and the people that consistently depend on their government to stay in the illusion of their government is their good source rather than God's source, God energy source, whatever you want to call it, good energy. That's your supplier. It is not the government. And because you believe that, because the media, because television, because there's competition shows that give one against the other, and nobody feels good about that. They want you to feel like crap. They want you to feel like you're sick, that we expire at 70 years old. That's a bunch of crap. God does not make junk. So we've just been dumbing down, and we continue to play the game. We continue to bank at these banks, show up at these places, vote for these presidents. We continue to believe that there's one side and then there's another side. That's an illusion. That's the hologram people have been trapped in. That we have to stop blaming the other races. They have trapped us. They have taken our grids, they have brainwashed us, and they have trapped us in a society. But you have to wake up. You know, there's a reason you're on this evolution. There's a reason each person is on this evolutionary planet. There's no point in blaming them and focusing on all of the ETs and reptoids and what they're doing. Well, aliens. I kind of think there's a difference between aliens and ETs. You know, the aliens, the darker aliens working with our government. So, and the shadow government, you know, there are good people in government. That's not a blanket statement. You know, there are people that really do want to help. And there are also higher extraterrestrial beings in there too, in Washington. And there are extraterrestrial higher beings that are working with certain governments, like China, like India, and like, well, with people. They work with the people. They work with the people. They come to the people. But as much as there's might be, like, say, you know, we're in a world of duality. So say in China, that, like, I want to say, like, maybe they're working, I'm going to give you an example. Maybe they're working with a higher evolved extraterrestrial race, one of them. There's also a shadow government that's working with a negative one, just like the United States. You know, it's all everywhere. So it has to be the individual people that are awakening and coming to our own light. So nobody takes power of us. And what I was saying is we were genetically coded. We have the reason that humans are hierarchy, because we got the best of many alien races, and that's when they wanted to wipe us out. And you know, the Jewish people have a lot to do with this. Not the fake Jews. I'm not talking about the Rothschilds and the people that took their Jewish name during the cartel. I'm talking about you know, during the banking system, when they took over, they took the sacred information through the Knights Templar. I'm not talking about that when they took over the fake Jews. And most of them adopted that. That's not real. It's just not. Not according to what the light beings tell me and what I am discovering. So, well, it's just not real. You can see the history for yourself. But anyway, so we're going to go back to when I say Jewish, I say that lightly. I want to say Hebrew. I want to say extraterrestrials from the Jesus clan, from Inky, if you can take it back from there, from Agartha, from the higher people that before the Knights Templar went bad. How about that? They said that those are the higher beings that are preserving this earth with us, and they are in contact with many of us. It isn't just them. It isn't just the Agarthans and the people that preserve the Christ energy. You know, with the DNA energy that connects us to our 12-strand helix. That we preserved this. The bloodline. Well, it's a connection to our higher self that they took away from us, that we are going to get restored to, is really what is going on. Now, they don't like this. The darker energy forces do not like the schedule that Gaia's on to be transported, but they know that they can't do anything about this. There are more than one alien race on this planet that is, some of them are dark, some of them are dark, and some of them are light, and their light ones want to work with humanity, and the dark ones want to just get away with us. So, but there's way too much investment on planet Earth and people to ever let that happen. And like I said about these timelines, we are on a higher timeline now. We're on the because we tweaked this. We were able to tweak this. We're on the higher timeline. Now, this is not an easy ride, is what I was saying. This is not going to be an easy ride. What's going to happen is, you know, I told you, we talked about what we know is that there's going to be possibly an event, because I talked to you about the grids and how our planetary grids are taken over by the darker forces. They are. You cannot not ignore that. If you're a light worker, you can see this, you understand this, and that's where they control so much of our subconscious mind and our mind, all the way down to our media, our television, our microwaves, our banking system. This is scheduled to be interrupted, and this might be interrupted from Gaia herself. She just says she's just gonna, you know, she's moving. She's actually moving. So, you know, I talked about the reptoids and want her to move in another direction. We're ascending, and we can allow this to happen through gracefully, or we can allow this to happen gracefully. So it depends on your consciousness. If you're in a pure consciousness, if your vibration is right, your experience is going to be glorious every day of your life. But even through this, you know, but if you're constantly in fear and watching crazy things and the end of the world, and that's ridiculous. This is the beginning of a new, incredible life. But the transition is, I worry, I'm concerned, because we have to be able to, perhaps for a while, go without our grid system. And it could be quick, it could be immediately. The galactic family is very fast, and if the extraterrestrials want the good ETs that are working with our government, we don't know what government's going to pull off what. We could get everything back into order quickly. But I believe, from what I know, my perception of what the light beings are telling me, if the grids go out and the banking system goes out and the event happens, This could be the perfect time for the darker Illuminati race to, well, the darker Cabal races, to play their, as Carol Roslin always said, their last card, which is the fake UFO alien invasion. Now that is, so you have to remember, do you know how advanced these extraterrestrials are? They're so advanced. To think that we have any force against them is utterly ridiculous. It's a joke, except for that we do work with advanced extraterrestrial races. But in general, to think that we need protection against aliens is ludicrous. It just is. They are so far advanced. It's just like a toy game to me to hear that stuff. But that's when they can potentially play their alien card and try to, because you know that they have spacecraft. Our military has spacecraft. They have fake UFOs, they have fake spacecrafts, they can make holograms. I mean, this is not unknown. We can see this, and we have to be able to overcome that. We have to be able to see that these things are false, and we have to be able to protect ourselves, and that there's not going to be like that. Then of course, you know, these Illuminati, they're following a Bible script unintentionally to fool us. You know, they can potentially bring in a fake savior after that too, so we can immediately go back onto their scheme. But what happens is, when I talked about the parallel Earth, is all this stuff is playing out over there, so we know already, and they do too. But there's, like I said, there's enough light workers here to tweak that. But I just want to be ready and to be prepared if there's going to be changes that happen on the planet, because we've all been informed and ignited and aware. And here's the power. Here's where the power lies. This is the truth. The power lies in the collective consciousness, in you and I, and that is what will happen when the planet wakes up on an individual process. We as light workers can only come into the eternal moment of now and let you know what is happening. But consciousness is what takes us, what transports us there. So we have to have our consciousness awake. And I think that's it. I had some very beautiful connections with, you know, when I had met Carol Roslin and Contact in the Desert. Not this year. I went last year. I went this year too. It was utterly amazing. And then last year when I had contacted her, she was talking to me about Colonel Van Braun. He was talking about the space program, and I had, you know, everybody meet. I always come home and I ask the light beings, is that really true? You know, was he working on the space program, or they were going to use this as this alien thing? And I said, you know, if it's true, then I prefer that you let me know this and you give me a sign. And so later on that evening, the light beings kind of do all kinds of things, but that was very interesting that later on that evening, in the middle of the night, which I had watched earlier, I'd watched a video of him earlier and of them, because I'd not seen them together before. And I said to him in space, I said, you know, if you're real and this is real, you need to contact me and you need to let me know if this is real, because I have the ability to speak to people. And he, in the middle of the night, his video came on my computer. Out of nowhere, it turned on. It was on early in the day, but it was shut. The entire night was shut. The day was, everything was off. So I think I didn't mention that. That happened kind of a year ago. But things like when you're light workers, things like that happen all the time. So you just kind of go along and you just want to make sure you give the message of what they're saying. You know, give the message of what they're saying. So the message is that people have to unite, and we cannot be fooled by the actions and the power of the shadow government. But we cannot be fooled by the power of the light. The light always outdoes the dark. we have to be able to see through appearances of what is happening. We have to see clearly. You know, we're all on assignment. Everybody is playing out the position. And we can't get lost in the game of this because it's just going to be too much for the mind. So it's important to take walks and be with your little doggies and be part of life, and stay in prayer, and send, as I do always, I send you light on your journey. And we send light around the planet every day. All light workers send light around the entire planet. It's also really important to send light to those. This is a little other topic that I'm going to get into in my other videos about the archons, and we need to send light to those dark energies down in the pits of the planet, because that's where they're coming from. So but I'll get into that into my other videos. So I just love that you're here, and that you're part of this, and that you're searching, and that we're searching together. This is a we thing. And I love it when other light workers have reported and shared their connections, and they have given their word to the planet, and we have connected. And as I always say, I want to say take what you like and leave the rest, but take this whole thing today. You know, we have got to unite, and we have got to get together and understand this, the light within us, and this superiority within us, the God self that is being born. We're just walking through a little bit of birthing, labor pains, but this is happening. We are being born into our God selves, and we are igniting into the oneness of that self. So thank you for being part of that with me.